on the road, Big 12 game number one. When you take a look at BYU, metrics say elite offense, elite defense. Have you been sleeping much?
Well, I'm out of breath right now because I forgot I had a press conference and somebody told me, so I had to run from the office down here. And anybody that knows that the distance from there, I covered, I think I did it in about 45 seconds. So I was running pretty good. And I didn't want to run through Katrina's practice, so I took a longer path. So anyway, let me catch my breath. I hope our players are in better shape than me. Listen, it's going to be this way in the Big 12 every night. To sit here and talk about, you're going to be able to stand up, sit on this podium and talk about how great the other team is and how difficult of a challenge it's going to be, and how great the environment is. BYU's all those things. You look at the way they're shooting the ball better than anybody in the country. Like sometimes as coaches we say things not necessarily totally literally, just to kind of emphasize. They are the best shooting team in the country, and that's not to just emphasize they can shoot. They are literally and statistically the best three-point shooting team in the country. They shoot it at every position. Their ball movement is phenomenal. They're great in transition. You look at the runs they put on people. It seems like at least once, sometimes twice a half, they just go on a massive run, and that's how they've been able to push leads out to 20, 30 points most nights. And then I think that the things that you're seeing on tape is how physical they are defensively. They're old, they're tough, their rebounding numbers jump off the page, and then you watch them, they really crash the offensive glass. And again, physical, old, tough. So they're a really good basketball team. And again, I think this will be a theme all year, is we're going to be facing really good basketball clubs night in, night out in this league. And BYU's one of the best teams in the country, top 10 team in America right now. I've heard the environment is out of this world. Had never been there, haven't experienced it, but everybody says it's one of the most underrated venues in college basketball. So we'll do our job to prepare this week.
Might as well get it out of the way. You have two guys that could probably help you if they're able. I don't know what's the status there. And Aziz actually played in that gym last year, and his team won. So obviously he would help.
Yeah, so Aziz has been working back in. Again, wouldn't say he's 100%. Hasn't finished a practice yet, but he's been working back in this week, so that's a good sign moving forward. CJ's still shut down.
I feel like there's been all this talk, Big 12 play for years. It's here. Is there that moment of this is what we've been preparing for? It's finally here. What's that like for you and the guys?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't speculate too much. For me, it's more we have practice today at 3 o'clock, and I feel that every day, that practice is here, and we got to get better and make the most of the time that we have out on the floor together. Just like whenever you play in a tough environment on the road against a top 10 team in the country, and we've done that here, there's some added energy that you can feel around you or within the team. I'm sure that will be there when the time comes, but our guys know how good the league is. It's as you said, everybody's talked about it for the last year and some change around here. But to speculate on like what that feels or means, you'd have to ask them. I'm worried about practice today.
Their better guy comes off the bench, hit 8 out of 16 threes against Denver, has been off the last two. But what have you seen out of him? And I mean, obviously they've got more than him, but he's pretty good coming off the bench.
Talking about BYU?
BYU, Jackson.
Oh, man, if I sit here and talk about one of BYU's players, then I'm leaving out, a handful of others. They have great players. They have great players. They have old players. They have skilled players. They have tough players. We have our hands full across the scouting report, like talking about one guy. I think especially, 5 days or so before the game, I think would be a mistake.
I know you're going to give me one game at a time, but the first 6 games of this conference schedule are
I don't know.
okay.
When
look.
when I honestly say I couldn't recount to you, if you told me my life depended on it, I couldn't tell you our next 6 games. I mean, I obviously at some point I looked at it, but I don't know. I know that we play BYU Saturday, and I know we play Texas at home Tuesday. And I will not worry about Texas until the buzzer sounds against BYU, and I could not tell you who is after that. I just know this: it's somebody really damn good, because this league is really damn good.
First 6 you go at BYU, at Baylor, at Kansas, and at home you have Texas, TCU, and Oklahoma. But that's why you get into this league, right? Like that's what you want.
Sure.
Until you have to do it.
Yeah. Are you making a statement or asking a question?
I was trying, but then you said you don't know who you play outside of BYU.
No, I just think that, like when of course we broke the schedule down, we got it back in the fall, but you could throw it into a hat and dump it on the table and organize it any way you want. Every couple of days you got a big challenge. So to get too caught up in what's going to happen beyond today or the team we're preparing for today, I think is a massive mistake. From the media standpoint, or people that are analyzing it, you could go, oh, well, this team's a top 5 team in the country. This team's a top 10 team. Those are the hardest games. There is not one game left on our regular season schedule that's not an extremely difficult game, regardless of where that team is metrically. Every team in this league is very, very good. So worried about who and where, I mean, it doesn't matter who and where. It's all going to be a challenge, but one that you embrace, one that you're excited for, as long as we do the right things to prepare and work every day. And that's where my head is on a Tuesday. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? You lose track of days. On a Tuesday in early January, with a week without games, my head is on practice today, and I know that's not fun for you guys. I try to be really open to you guys. I'm being honest and open today. My head is on getting better in practice today. And yes, I do know that the Big 12 is going to be difficult, and it's a difficult schedule for sure.
You guys are 11-2 coming off of non-conference slate, and obviously dropped the 2 most difficult games on your schedule so far. As a staff, is it easier for you guys to kind of drill in on things and hammer things home when you can definitively show your players, hey, we didn't do these things correctly in these big games, and we're only going to be really facing big game scenarios, so it's the rest of the way, so it's time to kind of lock in?
Just to point it and make it very clear, and I understand the context of the question. I'm not trying to spin it around, but every game's a big game. Evansville in here a couple nights ago was a big game. The next game on your schedule is always the biggest game to me. So I never say that this game's a big game because it's a high major opponent or a league game. They're all big. They all matter. But I think what you're saying against the highest ranked opponents or in the most difficult atmospheres, are there things that we can learn that we weren't able to do successfully? Absolutely, right? Absolutely. We're going to evaluate that. We're going to try to use those as learning tools for our team. And if we have success, guys, if we do anything that's successful, we're going to try to use the things we did well, and we're going to try to emphasize those things to our team of why we should keep doing them. If we have success, there's going to be some things we didn't do well. We're going to try to get them to believe we need to fix those even though we won. If we lose, it's the exact same approach, just with a little bit different of a feeling after the game is over. So, yeah, we're trying to learn from the games we won. Those 11 games we won, we're trying to learn. And those 2 games we lost, we're trying to learn. And emphasize the things we did well and learn from the things we didn't. And that approach will be consistent all the time, regardless of the time of year or team or league or anything like that.
You said after the Evansville game that if any of your teams before had made that effort in the half, that you would have went in the locker room, thrown things, broke things, and screamed at them. Have you kind of made a concerted effort to change how you address them in those kind of situations? And if so, what's kind of led to that?
I guess I was just saying that over the years I've tried to mature a little bit. We're always telling our players we want them to grow up and have a better perspective and mindset. And I think as coaches we got to listen to our own advice. But early, and I'm not saying every team, but early in my career I'd have been breaking stuff and acting like an idiot. And I certainly felt like that And there's, like there's times that it's great to show emotion as a coach. I'm not knocking that. But I just do think that teams and players have to make a decision that the things that win, like there's things that win. And as coaches, not just me, we all know what those things are. We're all coaching those things. But it's powerful when a team decides they're going to embrace those wholeheartedly. And I think that's where we're at with this team is they know what to do. Okay? We got to make sure we're doing it consistently and at the highest possible level to the highest standard all the time. And I'm not putting myself off the hook as a coach. Like, we're going to come in and demand that every single day, and we're going to emphasize that every day. But it gets really powerful when the guys on the team decide that they're going to embrace it to the same degree, and we're working through that right now. Not in a way that they're resisting it, but it hasn't clicked yet with this group that we are going to be about the winning stuff every single second all the time. They work hard. But there's a difference between working hard and embracing the little details that really win. And, again, I hopefully Evansville was a light bulb moment for them where, hey, when we actually had the right approach and played with some activity and energy and tried to get after loose balls, we're alive a little bit out there, we can be a good team. And when we don't, we're not a very good team. And we're trying to get this group to understand you have to be that way all the time. You can't turn the light switch on and off.
You were in Utah in March, so 2 time zones, elevation, all that stuff. Anything that you would do different this time or that Mike Rayfeld maybe is doing to prep the guys?
You can ask Mike. I can tell you that he's like a mad scientist. I mean, he's always doing something to prepare our guys physically. One of the great aspects to having him as your strength coach is you don't have to get involved in it. With Mike Rayfeld, and Mick Cronin told me this about him, and it was so true. With Mike Rayfeld, you can just not worry about strength and conditioning as the head coach because you know it's being done at the highest possible standard, and that's true. So I'm sure that Mike is doing something to prepare our guys for whatever they have to be ready for physical this week. I don't get involved in it because that's how good I think he is. I don't have to.
Understanding that every practice you're trying to get better, get closer to perfect, but with the gauntlet that's coming up with the Big 12, you mentioned how high level the competition is the rest of the way. What's the number one thing that your team needs to make sure they're doing on a nightly basis in games to make sure that they're able to be successful?
Yeah, it's hard to say this one thing, but it's just to do the winning stuff, embrace the winning stuff consistently every possession. Doesn't mean you're going to win every possession. It doesn't mean every possession is going to go your way. But we define, what those winning things are, and to embrace that and try to accomplish that every single possession, I think that's going to be the key in league play for us. Thanks, guys.